Peace. That took a minute. Took about 2 minutes. I'd literally been watching the circle go round and round like for 2 minutes straight. I had to start a new tab and everything and just do it all over again. But I see people here. Raphael, Peace, Real Hip Hop 216, and L. Lowry, Saladin. I really only remember Saladin's righteous name here. If you brothers have righteous names, keep reminding me, Forget if you guys told me and stuff. What I do remember is that last week, brothers had some really good builds. Really good builds. Peace-wise, you. 793rd, I did get your email. It was just that it was a little bit at the late hour, so it's a little bit long, so I didn't want to, go into all that. And then I would, not give you a good enough answers and materials. Okay. Yeah, I don't know about you all, but every single Thursday keeps popping back up incredibly fast. There's so much work to do, so many things to do. I don't know. If you brothers are trying to get into reading and get into certain things, if you're really doing that, you'll never get the chance. You know what I mean? To now than you would ever get to. And it's also in the goals. The nature by which you set your goals. What is their relevance? What is their importance? In 793, yes, whenever I get the chance, yeah, definitely. I will be doing that as quickly as possible. Right? Fly phrase, Mr. G1, peace, definitely. Now think about this. I'm just messing with you, right? G1. Peace to the gods and earths and all the civilized and righteous people of the planet. What about everybody else? You just excluded mostly everybody. Always look at things completely. Peace, Yusuf. Always look at things completely. Always think about the counter to things. It's something I learned in writing. When you think of the counter to things, then you see something deeper into things. And when we look at lessons, we want to look deeper. I think that, let me look at my notes. I think I might even, if I have time, get into the justice bill. This isn't the justice curriculum, which I'm working on expanding, because remember the justice curriculum was 10 specific subjects for you to research to begin the process of being a Renaissance thinker. A man of complete thought, right? Or a woman, right? A woman of complete thought, ideas. And I wanted to start you off with each subject where we could go into, and even the reason it's taking me longer is because in each one I want to provide you not just with a reference to go find, but I actually want to give you a resource. That's, I want to give it to you. I don't want it to be something for you to say, go get. There'll be ones, resources for you to go get, but I would like to actually empower you and give you a starting resource or starting reference for each subject in that justice curriculum plus lesson that I taught. But that is different from the Justice Build Plus lesson, which I have not taught in this online cipher yet. The Justice Build is basically, I think it's 10. Let me see where it is. I'm saying this, right? And imagine if I can't find it, right? I should be able to find it because even if it isn't here in this old constitutional-looking pile of yellowed papers, would have it I would have it digitally anyway, so you don't have to worry about that. So I didn't find it, but let's see. Right now I'm looking through my my files. Yeah, it's right here, so I can teach straight off the file. I just want to know how many it was. All right, so again, 10 things. Obviously, that's why I called it the Justice Build. 10 particular things, almost like a checklist, to go through when you deal with each degree. And the thing is, though, is that it's universal, because you could apply this. You could apply this to any type of research that you're doing, okay, to see if you're complete with things, you know. And remember, the journalistic rule that really applies really well to many of the things that we're doing here is you always want to be able to know the counters of something. And that's why, like you said, G1, I'm just picking on you, G1. Peace to stuff that we always say, peace to all the true and living gods and nerds, all the civilized people, all the civilized and righteous people. Not everybody's civilized, not everybody's righteous, not everybody is true and living gods and nerds. So technically, we are not saying peace to everyone. So that is a very selective greeting, right? And if we are makers and owner of the entire universe, then our greeting has to be even more complete than that. I'm just being a stickler for things, looking into things a little bit deeper, right? And I would hope that real hip-hop, that everyone would take the class seriously and take time out each week to take notes and study. And I'm completely honored by that anything I'm saying has continued to be useful. Because if these things were useful for me, I still could be just the success of one person using his own materials, and it could just be all anecdotal, And by the way, that's another thing to look at when you look at whether things work and how things try, is the anecdotal element, right? When you want to research things, you always want to look at the anecdotal element. I made that phrase up, but when something is anecdotal, just to give you a technical definition, right, of an account, not necessarily true or reliable, because based on personal accounts rather than facts or research, all right? So if someone says, so we do use anecdotal research, right? When you go online, right, and you want to see some workouts, right? If the guy's in great shape and he's doing the workouts and he's got a lot of followers and everything else is worked, you take his advice. Of course, though, it becomes less anecdotal if he has some kind of like accredited research and things like that, right? But we do take the anecdotal research of people. Or that made no sense to say anecdotal research. The anecdotal thoughts of people, the anecdotal experiences, and insights. That's the word. See how I had to fish for that? The anecdotal insights of people, so, in any of my plus lessons, if they're working, they're not just my only anecdotal insight, but also the anecdotal, consistency of it working for other people all through all these years of using it, right? Peace. Need this, want this. I'll go back and lunch, rebook it in order to write this down. Good way to be wise with knowledge. See it the same way. Okay, just a second. Okay, yeah, definitely. Smells good. Always feels awkward calling you that. Good question, Saladin. I'll answer that in a minute, though. The lessons always talk about penalties if you don't really learn things, and the penalty is death, blah blah blah, and all that kind of stuff. And we pretty much passed that degree. What is the right? Yesterday's degree, prescribed law of Islam of said person had ability that the civilized is held responsible for the uncivilized and must be punished by the nation of Islam. So we always have it in our head. Sometimes, because it's a religious degree, I hated that degree for many years, though. I hate people telling me what to do. You know what I mean? But and it doesn't give you any insight to what the punishment would be. You know what I mean? So it's always a good philosophical thought. Is there really a punishment if you don't build? Is there a punishment if you don't use the things that you know? And going on further, is there a punishment for the things that you learn and don't teach when you have the chance to teach, right? And then here's another question for you to think about. If you don't, because not everybody that learns this is really a teacher. Some of them don't have that ability, right? So then we could ask the question, and maybe it's not fair. So not a lot of things aren't fair. If a person knows something and then doesn't teach it when he sees the people that could use it, and he doesn't teach it because he knows he's not gifted in that, then what is the penalty? What is the penalty for that? You know what I mean? Not everything is as clear cut as Spider-Man. You know what I mean? Not tackling that would-be thief, right? Peace-wise, ruler. Yeah, so when you look at, and I'm just throwing those questions out there, those aren't ones to answer. They cannot be answered so immediately. And again, the questions I'm asking, they can only really be answered by your anecdotal research. So what do people respect out of people's anecdotal insights? Well, they respect the wisdom of it, that you took knowledge situations and you have a long legacy, a long experience of taking knowledge into situations, and you gather insights. So that'd be knowledge and wisdom. You know what I mean? But today on the Wisdom Knowledge Day, it's very important to think about what are the things that we take out there that's really anecdotal. You know what I mean? And a lot of the stuff is anecdotal. It's like for a lot of the things, one of the reasons, and really honestly, like on this YouTube, lately of the live, like, Dark Camera, right? Pieces of God, are a lot of people using what we say because it is useful, or applying it to see if it is useful, or just immediately saying it because they trust us as a source. But you still have to recognize that we are still an anecdotal source. Let's keep it real, like some of the illest anecdotal sources ever, because we really do have actual time in it and stuff. But for each and every person, they have to take it out of just the anecdote, even their own life experiences of what they found to be useful and not useful. Like for example, even as you train the body, you still have to. It still benefits you to learn the details of why certain maneuvers, certain training methods, all of these things work. Just like the more you learn about your diet, and we'll continue the Living Foods protocol in a little bit, right? Because there was still more that I wanted to share in that Living Foods protocol. So I'll do a super speed recap of the entire thing, and then I'll go into that and finish that off. You know what I mean? There still has to be a more detailed analysis of why certain things go, and that becomes the development of the student. They try things out based on the qualifications of those that they see have worthy anecdotal insight. Okay? In other words, picking your teacher, right? Because you can't verify that he did all of these things. Like, you know what I'm saying? Even if they're accredited and stuff, they've been accredited by someone else, so you appreciate that, right? So then the idea becomes, how do we take that anecdotal teachings, anecdotal suggestions, and take it to the next level? So look at the type of builders that you could just throw out there. I just saw it. I saw it Ip 4 this week, and I loved it. Yeah, it's probably the ranks number 4 out of the 4 movies, but it finishes it off beautifully. So I loved it anyway, because I love anything Ip Man. But and just training in Wing Chun and being part of that very distant lineage, I loved it. But even when I think about Bruce Lee, who was one of the students of it, he took a lot of the things that he learned and continued to research, so that way it wouldn't just be anecdotal. In other words, He always was studying for new athletic insights, the reasonings behind muscle groups and things like that. And it led him to actually elevate his understanding and actually make equipment, right? So if you get certain books, I forget which one, the names of these books. Let me see if I can pull up the name. I always like to have the names of the books correct for you guys. Right? I have to update my books list here because the flash drive didn't count, so I have like all the books in a bigger drive, but my daily flash drive is incomplete, but not the Bruce Lee collection. What was the name of that book? Okay, anthology. Can't find it. Yeah, The Art of Expressing the Human Body. Okay, in that particular book, this book gives you, I mean, really all of his research methods. You know, all of the things that he was thinking of from his notes, workout routines, but it also even talks about some of the reasoning, why he decided to do certain things. And then he even developed some of his own makeshift equipment. He had people design certain equipment for him, though. And they look like, you know, like a really Flintstonian version of what you see in gyms today. And he was doing things like HIIT training, high intensity interval training, before people were even, you know, trying to do it, you know, which is incredible. But it's because he was taking a combination of his anecdotal research from others, his own personal experiences, right, which he qualified as anecdotal also. Your own experiences, though, in essence, are wisdom knowledge too, because you're not going to get an understanding of your own experiences unless you look back and analyze them properly. Okay? They're filled with perception and missed things, you know, whatever it is, you know. Let me read back in these comments real quick. Okay, let me copy that question, Saladin. What does it mean to be a scientist? Kind of answer that question, what does it mean to be a scientist, in really the context of, I think, anything, you know what I mean? Because we're doing it constantly, you know? Okay, I'm just writing down something. What I just said. Okay, so wise you, we're definitely going to go through some of these builds. And if you have a build and that's what you're thinking about, and builds on today's mathematics, so I'm going to go through them again. I like the exercise. I like doing this. It lets me know who everyone is, though. So definitely, if you have it now, you can throw it up in there as I continue to build here about, you know, what I was saying. Saldin, you said it's important to wisdom be knowledge, aware, or cognizant, or you see around you. Okay. I don't know what wisdom was attributed to. Okay, because it couldn't be attributed to the word to, right? It smells good. Said ideal and refinement, selling goods and services. True self. True self. Okay. Okay. There's a lot to deconstruct there. True self. Right? Okay. Work on it. That's why, you know, that's why I have all of you write journals so that you can work on how you see things. You know, what you can develop. What are your ideas? What are some of the things that you know you see in yourself? In your journal, open it up and actually try to describe yourself. Right? How do you describe yourself? How would you describe yourself to someone else? This is not just an exercise for anyone else, but you should also have like a small bio. Like, what would you say? You know, what would you say is you? You know? Okay, be a doer of the word. Interesting. Dedicated wisdom, knowing knowledge. Okay. Interesting. Today's math, wise, you said today's math is wisdom knowledge. Be wise and move properly in an orderly fashion by applying what you know, and it should reflect your foundation. If not, then you are acting in a weak set foundation. Okay, so wise, I don't know if it's you though, but I saw this type of build last week, and I don't know if it was you, but there's a lot of absolutes that you build with. You said, be wise and move properly in an orderly fashion. Okay, be wise. Okay, so you know my complaint here, using the degree in the build. You know, don't use the supreme mathematic word in the build. You know, because if you were teaching someone, they still wouldn't know what wise means. You know, they still would be a little bit confused about that, right? Be wise and move properly in an orderly fashion by applying what you know. And it should reflect your foundation. Okay. I get where you're going in there. It's a little muddled, though. It's not bad. Okay, I see what you meant, Saladin, what you were doing. You probably should have wrote the number 2 after the word be instead of before, right? And 1 after aware, right? It's just a little easier on the idea. You wrote the numbers before the word, so that's why. I tend to do the opposite. You know what I mean? And here's why. Because we're teaching them about mathematics, right? So we would put the number after the word, okay? Right? We are teaching about mathematics, right? When we say that, so right? We would assume always is when you write things or say things with the mentality that people don't know what you were saying, then you know the order by which to say things. Okay. In fact, grammar is improved 100-fold when you do that. Okay. You'll also know if your grammar is redundant because you'll be over emphasizing things that should already be known or seem redundant, you know, or repetitive. All right. Okay. All right. I'm waiting for everybody to write their builds on wisdom knowledge and right on cue. Wow. When people write them, I'll build on it. We'll attack it as we go along. While we get into other things, or while we just focus on that. Right? All right, what? So SW, this you're not sending peace out to all of many of the savages, any of the ignorant people that may be on this live stream. Just being a stickler, you know, because this is the this is like the perfect example of wisdom knowledge, right? When we look at wisdom knowledge, though, we wanna look at what we've stepped into first and go back and do the analysis of what we've done. You know what I mean? Of all that we have wisdom, what is really the knowledge in it? So let's take it like an exercise of looking back. You know? No, I would. You know, that may be true, SW. There may be zero savages here, but for me as the teacher here, I would be completely disappointed. Okay? Just know that I'm completely disappointed, though, if there aren't any savages. If there aren't any absolutely uncivilized people. Because all we need is a student that has just a little level of lack of uncouthness, right? To be able to just do one thing, right? To be able to do only one thing and get on here and see what's going on, right? So we should be able to be ready for all humanity, and technically we bring peace to all of humanity, right? Even a savage, because peace is the absence of confusion. So wherever we're at, though, we're bringing peace to, we change the cipher where we're at, right? Serious mathematics, that's really peace. It's really peace to work hard and make sure you get that knowledge where you were at, though. Hold it in there and do something positive in there, and then now supplement it wherever you can. Right? Visualize what you know. So visualize, Raphael, would take the place, in this case, would be the wisdom aspect, right? To visualize. Very interesting. So you see, visualize is wisdom. I don't know. Because then in this case, visualize would have to be an act of presenting, right? To somehow present what you know, right? And then apply it. Interesting. I'm going to need some examples here. Everyone is giving me a lot of, it's usually what happens with the builds on wisdom knowledge, the wisdom knowledge day, is that they become very filled very much with rhetoric, because it is a hard degree to build on, because it's one of the probably the most blatantly negative degree that we can build on, because it symbolizes acting before you have the knowledge. You see? Right? Wisdom is to speak. That's definitely true, Esther. Definitely true. Action of the thought. All right, Saturday night 30. You need more context than action of the thought. Even though I like that. Yeah. Wise you. Very good. Okay. Wisdom knowledge would be, though, let's say we take swine, wisdom knowledge would be that you had taken the advice of others that were learned not to eat swine. You see? So you engaged in the wisdom that was given by others, and now as you went back and got actual knowledge, it really born an understanding of why you shouldn't eat pork. You see? Because the truth is, and that's why wisdom knowledge is reality, we act on things, okay, without fully knowing. And so that process of wisdom knowledge has always happened. It's always happened. It's my duty to be a beacon of light, illuminating, so all can see, understand. Fair enough. Saladin, you're very equipped at making statements. Okay? So then what would I say to Saladin, right? It's my duty to be a beacon of light, illuminating so all can see or hear, right? And again, you should put number 2 after B, and number 1 after light. It is much easier to read. Number 3 after C, okay? How would you do that? So again, if you were out there and you said this, it's not technically wrong, right? But then what would you say to people? What would you say is the what is a beacon, right? To be a beacon, right? What would be that beacon? How would that be? Okay? How would that exist in daily life, you know? How would you take that prose and take it to real life? Right? What would be an example of being that beacon? And how does someone become a beacon without being pompous? You know? Right? I just want to address you real quick. Let me go back. Today's mathematics means to show and prove your wisdom with knowledge. That's not wrong. That's not wrong because it would be what is you, but you use the mathematics in the actual build on it, so it doesn't explain it to anyone that doesn't know. See, so that would be the problem with that Real Hip Hop 216. Right? But Joseph, today's math is not you, universe. That's the letter in the alphabet. Okay, let's say things correctly. Okay. And it says, so how has my universe added on to my understanding, or my understanding of the universe is the sun, moon, and stars? Okay. I get that. Okay, but wisdom knowledge, remember, wisdom knowledge, you're seeing it as the universe, so you have to be clear. Today's math is not universe. Today's math is wisdom knowledge. Okay, it's not universe. Okay? You skipped over there and went in there, but it still doesn't make it so. Okay? One. Even though you capably linked it, you know what I mean? But you said this too, Joseph. My understanding of the universe is sun, moon, and stars. How isn't that everybody's understanding? Right? Peace to Sai. The God Saeed. He's had, you know, that meme with, you know, where they have I forget the actor's name though. It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia actor. He's plotting all the things. That's been the God recently, making the plot of the timeline for 20. That's what I think about when you send me that. I feel like that was you over the last couple of weeks. As a 5%, are we supposed to apply today's mathematics each day to our lives? Wow, wouldn't that be amazing if you did, though? Right? You should be thinking about this every single day. The answer to that is absolute. Absolute. You know? Absolutely. Here's what this is, though. Should you eat healthy every day? Should you clean yourself every day? Every time you train, should you train hard? You see what I'm saying? This is a supreme tool. So just looking at it as a tool, that is made to be used every day. You wouldn't use it every day, right? So yeah, absolutely. Joseph, excellent elaboration, Joseph. My actions should match my ideas. Okay? There's a lot of retrospection in your builds, you know? Right? Very useful for the self, you know? Not always something that you would say outside, you know what I mean? Because remember, young people, they're not that introspective, you know what I'm saying? They're not going to think that way, you know? When you build with the youth about wisdom knowledge, you want to say something like, listen, you know, wisdom is the use of knowledge, right? Sometimes we use the knowledge that we have in order to get new pieces of information. We have to use what we know right? We have to use what we know to get more knowledge. Because sometimes the greatest understanding, though, has to be continuously built. See what I just did there? We gave a build to the youth that they could understand, but it also gives them a directive, okay? It gives them a directive. You guys are building very well with introspection, and it's leading to good directives. So finish it and make it directive. What would you actually do, right? What particular things would you actually do? All right? It's good work, though, Joseph. That's good add-on to your initial build. All right? Serious mathematics a lot. Peace. Wisdom is acts and ways. Okay, grammatically, it'd be wisdom are acts and ways gained from knowledge, which brings forth our understanding to see our reality, which manifests from our mental. Okay, here's one tiny mistake that you're making. And this might be across the board, builds are introspective. Because you see what you did here? Wisdom are acts and ways gained from knowledge, which bring forth. You're making a statement. You're making a statement, but it's losing the fluidity of it being a build. Okay? It's losing the fluidity of it being a build, so it doesn't have any directive. Okay? So if you say that wisdom are acts and ways gained from knowledge, okay, then what you've done is made the day's mathematics into a correct statement. Okay? Don't make everything fit. Make it useful. See what is going to be useful, okay? And how you can build with it. Okay? So it's a start. But I want you to have the mentality of you saying this to someone else. Okay? Not just getting the right answer with me. Okay? Because I like all big words. Jarrell Boylan, peace. Today's mathematics is reflected through discernment and identifying the functionality of reason for being in essence. Well, you guys are, wow. I gotta read that again. Today's mathematics is reflected through discernment and identifying the functionality of reason for being in essence. Now, I have no idea what's wisdom, what's knowledge, and what's understanding in that build. I don't. And that's probably because I'm back to trying to understand what that sentence means. And I love the challenge. Right? I hope that you don't say this to people on the street, though. Although it's, I like the complexity of it. And there's a lot of ideas concentrated in there, so I'm a fan of concentrated language. Today's mathematics is reflected. Okay, that's probably what's throwing me off. Today's mathematics isn't a reflection. It is, okay? Right? So he said, discernment in identifying the functionality of reason for being in essence. Okay? Discernment in identifying the functionality of reason for being in essence. So basically, trying to see one's life purpose is wisdom knowledge, or being born to understanding. Okay? But remember, Jarrell, today's mathematics never reflects anything. It is. Your understanding is. Your understanding doesn't reflect anything. Okay? And in this case, it'd be more simple if you try to identify what it is what parts are wisdom in this? What parts is knowledge? Okay, because I don't see knowledge in this. And then understanding, the last part, reason for being in essence, would probably be understanding, because reason and understanding are similar, right? Okay. I think you may have went too convoluted in here. Right? SW, wisdom is the application, reflection of what you know. I wouldn't say reflection. I wouldn't say reflection. Okay, reflection is not always equal in measure, which results in understanding. The application of what you know. Okay, yeah, it's not a wrong statement. Not a wrong statement. Real hip hop. So if today's math was wisdom, am I supposed to focus on gaining wisdom for that day? No. That's not how you deal with the day's mathematics. Today's mathematics is for you to see a principle. The truth is that you should be planning all your days. You should have goals and plans and ideas and even thoughts and ideas. Like, for example, I'm a writer, so I have lots of thoughts and ideas that I'm expounding on throughout of many projects, right? That doesn't mean that because of all these projects, that doesn't mean that today's wisdom knowledge. So I can only do the projects that go in. Yeah, this just doesn't make any sense. You know what I mean? So it's not numerology, though. It's not the roll of the dice thing. You know, that you were focusing on things. Okay, you were focusing on things. Right? You were focusing on principles. Okay, and if you build on it before the day, you are focusing on principle. As we are in the end of the day, it should be more reflective of how you lived your day. Like, what in the insight of today's mathematics can you apply to how you lived your day? Were these principles lived out? Were these principles disregarded or not present? Right? These are things to think about. At the end of the day, if you did. At the beginning of the day, how could this principle that you've analyzed be useful for you? Right? Okay, so today's math. Okay. G1, reflect your intelligence to create your universe. I think because we see wisdom as women that we keep saying reflect. You know what I mean? I don't like to say that because a lot of our wisdom is our own words. And that's why I don't want to say wisdom is always in a reflection, because if you become skilled enough, your words can comfortably be an exact representation of what you are. So it's more like representation, not reflection. Okay? Reflect your intelligence to create your universe. But I see where you're going with that. I think part of the assignment here should be to build on the day's math also in a way like you can give me your most profound insight out of it, but also how would you build with it? I think a lot of the students I'm finding out here that are on this chat are a lot older than I thought. And that's just what it is, you know? That's just what it is. And that means, but you also have a responsibility to identify the individuals that are younger than you that you should be building with. So, is this really what you would say to them? That's really where I'm getting at, you know? And that's why I keep restructuring, because if you've read my writings, if you read my books and stuff, I go all out. I'm obsessed with the concentrated sentence, jizza, half short, twice strong. I love all that. I'll write prose in the most poetic way, and you know, it's up to you to go back and hopefully enjoy it, or your head blows up. But when I try to teach something, I try to teach it as simple as possible. Okay? So just have in mind that even in the day's mathematics, when you're building on it, there's a build for you to use. But then there's a build that, how do you explain this? So like the daily life, like when I was getting knowledge in all those years, in that, especially that first year, 1999, when I got the knowledge, before I started teaching the next year, 2000, I might see dark Kim at the school. I can't hit dark Kim with no, essence of being and metaphysics, all that kind of stuff. You know what I mean? Because then he knows that I can't use that with nobody. I know. I can't tell that to anybody. And then I'm going back to live where I lived at the time, where I grew up, Sunset Park in Brooklyn. None of the Puerto Ricans know anything about that. They don't care. God's a God body. They're gang. They don't know anything about that. And they come with all this crazy stuff. What's useful to them? There's a usefulness to me. I write my heavy-ish on my own. But then what is it? How would I express this to be useful to the people? So have that in mind as well. Like, what would be an insight to you that you want to share about it to other people too? So there could be levels of mathematics. Like, there could be more than one build for yourself on the day's mathematics. Supreme scientist. Okay, I expect something good here as usual. Wisdom knowledge means being careful and considerate about how you evaluate actual facts and observation. Making an intelligent decision based on what you are aware of. That's it. There you go. That's how you use it. You know what I mean? So, supreme scientist thinks of this, let's say as he wakes up, how am I wise? Well, with wisdom, all the knowledge that I have is wisdom, and that means it's a lot of care. At least there's a carefulness. You're wise. You're careful, right? And considerate, right? That's part of being. That's considerate is the interaction, the careful interaction with people, right? About how you evaluate actual facts and observations. Because what's interesting here is that there's also an insinuation that once you engage with truths, you may not be careful with truths, okay, and use them sloppily, right? So making the intelligent decision based on what you're aware of. There it is. You know what I mean? Thank you for adding on, supreme scientists. You know what I mean? You give people a very good example, a perfect example of a concrete build that could be used for yourself, but also could be used to explain to somebody out there, a young brother out there, a young sister, you're trying to get her to understand certain things. Manifestation of knowledge. Yusef, not incorrect. It's the wisdom and awareness that elders have that will give you the youth, that will give the youth understanding. Very true. We would hope that would be true, Saladin. In a good world, it is true. I scroll too fast here. Okay, I'm catching up. I'm trying. I'm in the midst of catching up. Okay, SW, that's peace, God. Serious match. Peace. Peace, Powerborn. Jarrell, peace, God. I'm grateful that. Well, I'm grateful that you understood what I was trying to share here. G1, are you seeing what goes? Yes, I am. Yes, I am. I hope I've built them. I'm still a little slow with them. I'm catching up. L. Lowry, wisdom is acting upon the wise words and actions that's in your foundation that manifest the day's mathematics. Good build. Let's try to define certain words for ourselves, not necessarily for everybody else, right? What is your foundation? You know, that could be something you write in your journal. You say that knowledge is foundation. What is your foundation? Right? What is your foundation? How does that work? Because we say certain things, we don't know, like what they mean. What is your foundation? How would you explain that? Mm-hmm. Does it change? Mm-hmm. Raphael Tomas, that's true. All right. When I visualize what I know, it gives me understanding of what I'm missing to complete, or what I know completely. Obviously, complete was E, so I can lay that into existence. Okay. Again, you're using visualize as wisdom, and it's just a little bit awkward. It's a little bit awkward. I don't know if that translates perfect. SW, good update to that. Not a reflection of projection via words and deeds. Okay. You remember here, look, we're in the classroom. This is where you experiment with high explosives, right? To go back to Saladin's question of what is being a scientist, since it works now with what I'm going to say. We're all scientists because we're being conscious of the things that we learn in all endeavors in life. So now we're a scientist because once we are conscious of what we are learning and how it applies to us and everyone else, then we've also made it so that way we can start to reason what is wrong, what is missing, and develop questions. Because that's what makes a scientist. It's his way of looking at life. And with every piece of knowledge that they learn, they continue to ask questions that could further the research of what they're accumulating or what they are recognizing about life itself. So that's what it means to be a scientist. When we talk about it in the degrees. Yusuf said, peace. Example, when building a bridge, I must gain the wisdom from the knowledge to understand the blueprints for the bridge. Okay, so you took it as a process. Very good, very good. Because you can build on mathematics as a process, right? From now, from 1 through 9, knowledge added on the cipher, or you can see this process here when you started right in the process. I have to gain the wisdom from the knowledge. Okay. All right. Okay. It's a good development there. It smells good. There is a tangible document. I like that word, tangible. Yeah, text me. I mean, not text me. Email me, okay? Because there is a curriculum I give out in many of the plus lessons I've taught already. They have their corresponding tangible document. Okay? They do. All right? Real Hip Hop said, I'm going to apply each day's mathematics and see if I can gain any insight. But isn't this considered something spiritual? I don't know. Depends how you do it, though. You know what I'm saying? If you do it like a spell, today is wisdom knowledge, and if you have a cauldron of numbers and you expect understanding to make it all do well for you, then it's spirituality. I mean, there are things that we do every single day. So what are those things that we do every day? If all of those things are continually tested as useful, then to me they are not religious. They are not, could be thrown away as spiritual, in that kind of like quasi-religious sense, right? So you definitely got to, what I'm showing you is how to train that mind with the supreme mathematics. So what would you rather do? Worry about using it every day so it doesn't seem spiritual or religious, or trying it and then realizing if it does work, then it's not, right? Then it's actually suitable. But understand that anything that is true, that is worthwhile, true, actual fact, that is used every single day develops into a system where you can use it every day. And that becomes what we call traditions, right? Any single tradition, whether it's based on truth or the most blatant lie, like Jesus Christ or anything like that, can lead itself to belief. Okay, so even dealing with this knowledge can breach and broach into that. Right? You've always got to be careful with everything, every single thing. Okay, I read that. Wisdom is the manifestation of one's knowledge, which clearly shows he understands what it is he is conveying to others. There's a good one there, because you gave an activity. You see what you did here? I don't know if you even recognize what you just said here. You said wisdom is the manifestation of one's knowledge, which clearly shows he understands what it is he is conveying to others. Your activities often are asked to do that. As a student, you may not know exactly what you're doing, though, but you are asked to continuously use what you were being given to then see if it actually is composed of knowledge. Okay? And then what happens, though? You get an understanding of the broad framework of what you've collected. Apply your intellect to gain perception. Okay? In this case, I would probably say better perception. Okay? Because when you say perception as an end-all thing, then it leads to opinion, because the word perception is really like what we perceive, so it's not really always factual. So always be careful of the wording. Saladin, peace. You posted something with regard to hugging the degrees. It blew me out. All I could do is think of myself, appreciate it, and say, "That's peace, Saladin." Yeah. I was being artistic there, poetic there. Okay. Use everything. Okay. Sirius said, so it's really building towards others' understanding or their level, So like you want to have your builds in the mathematics that are for you. Like, what are you going to do with it? How is it going to help you, right? But at the same time, though, you also want to be prepared to actually interact with humanity. We are poor righteous teachers, man. So how would that go? What would you say? And sometimes the build that you have that's personal isn't really applicable to people or isn't really going to make sense to other people because it might be too deep. The people that you deal with, And a lot of times you just have to master it because a lot of times your builds, they won't be like, oh, I have a simple build just in case I bump into people. That's not how life works. Okay? Then you bump into somebody that's so simple, right? In fact, what I've seen, most teachers aren't even prepared to be in a cipher with savages, right? Or expected of that, right? That's not how it works, too. Don't remember that the savage is the one that gets taught. So the savage is the one that's also drawing up what? Their own teachers, okay? So you will, if you're a good teacher, you will end up around savages. Good teachers find their students, okay? And like the Tao says, the good teachers are always in care of the bad, right? Just remember that. Okay? Don't, in our language though, let's not dehumanize those who don't know, okay? Because what happens is we breed a people that even if they do know, then they won't be 5%. They'll be 10% in their nature, in their ways and actions, with what they know. And that would be, that would be disappointing. OSW, we didn't know at all times, right? What is it that you don't know right now? Okay? To be a good student, you should always know what you don't know. Right? And I haven't been able to, I didn't get to say it as I usually do in the beginning. Make sure you go to, if you're having, I don't know, if you have some kind of trouble navigating my YouTube channel, you can always go to the 5percentmedia.com page, okay? Because I always have in the culture section, there is a peace course subsection, all right? And I write a quick column on the piece on this class session every week now, okay? So, some ideas, some perspective, and that way you kind of get a pulse of what I was thinking about. And for those who are learning and going out there and building and teaching with others, so they get some kind of idea of how you would build, out there. Okay. Any questions about anything? I like to take a little pause. People asking questions. We're not supposed to use 120 to look down on others. Use it up. Of course, Jim. Of course. You shouldn't use anything to look down on anyone, right? Okay. Speaking of looking down, this is a bill that I probably will have many times, but it's a journalistic bill that I have and I'll just build on it before I go into any of the plus lessons and stuff. But in the journalistic field, I started to write about certain things and to say that it is important, and in my case, my main field is music journalism, ethnomusicology, the study of ethnicity regarding the music, and of course hip-hop. Once we study the peoples that hip-hop is for and who it affects, we've gone into ethnomusicology, and that's been my work. It's particularly about the music too. And one of the powers that a journalist has, right? And a journalist, I always say, is a historian of the moment, is the point of contact, right? So the point of contact is when you have the actual experience of what it was like to engage in, let's say in this case, music, the release of a said project, right? So if we're talking about, works of the 90s, we talk about Cuban links or anything like that, being there at certain labels, being there when projects were made, being there as they were bought and seeing the reactions, being around the journalistic field of others, then I was at a point of contact where I know how things were received and how things were experienced. It lends itself to understand the project a little bit more, right? And I'll answer that question in a minute. C. Johnson. Saladin. The reason I'm saying that is because a lot of times when we deal with like our elders with the knowledge, brothers that have it, just older than us. Sometimes they're not elders; they just happen to be older than you guys, right? They often talk about the validity of things that they have. They have validity, and their point is valid because they had a point of contact with it. Don't always trust people's point of contact. A lot of times people do this over the years, and I'm using hip-hop as a good example. And to say like, hey, Sunez, maybe it's because I looked like I looked young and I looked like I wasn't there. I was there when hip-hop was starting in the parks and the park jams. So you, rhetorically, and then really me, can't say anything to me about blah, blah, right? This is an era of point of contact. You know what I mean? The point of contact is to give insight. But a lot of times we trust people's point of contact just as if they were there. Do you realize that a bad, worthless artist, and I use that, I should say releaser of soundscapes, they could be considered a veteran of music just if they had started in the year 2000. But they could have been horrible that whole time and just, amassed a following with lesser music, with lesser abilities, and with no integrity and very little creativity. So sometimes the point of contact isn't really worthwhile. A point of contact. I was there for park jams. Well, you were standing in the crowd just like a whole lot of other people. Doesn't mean that you know how this music was made. You know what I mean? It doesn't mean that you know what the music was. And it also, a lot of times when people do stuff like that, they give you their point of contact. I was there, this and that. They also amplify their lenses at that time. Because you could be at that original point of contact and really have very little ability to understand what it was that you were seeing. Only in retrospect did you realize that you were even at a park jam that was a beginning of entire culture, right? So we could have people that might have even been at Mount Morris and not know a damn thing about what they were witnessing there, and not really have a real insight to it. So let's not talk about point of contact loosely. And so respecting a person's point of contact is also part of the way that we validate someone. So when we deal with wisdom knowledge, we have to take people's wisdom, their anecdotal reality, and then analyze it with actual facts to see if there was real understanding to be gathered from that individual's experience, right? So always be cognizant of that, because one of the big fallacies that you know when I talk to certain brothers about music and stuff is that, especially if they're older, they like to use that point of contact stuff. And the truth is that when it comes to music, they have had very little point of contact quality. The point of contact quality is very low. It may be older, but it's not of a sustained quality. And by them pointing it out, it also assumes the point of contact that I have had. You know what I mean? So, somebody says, "Oh, you weren't at park jams," though. They don't know where I was at. They don't know anything about where I was at. And this happens constantly. So, just make note of that when you deal with people. You know what I mean? And how you validate what it is that they are sharing. Whether it's with knowledge itself, whether it's with music, whether it's with the arts, whether it's with subjects that you're interested in, right? Or whether you come into people that say that your understanding or your insights aren't worthwhile. Right? Chad said, was it said to be a good student is to realize that you know nothing? Yeah. The Tao has that very artistically woven. I don't know if I can find that. I love the way they say it, though. Let me see if I can find that. Trying to find a passage in the Tao, but I don't think I'll be able to find it because I need the keywords to find it, and I don't remember the exact keyword. It's really nice, though. But yeah, that's in the Tao. To realize that you don't know anything or don't know enough is crucial to begin anything. What I like to say also, too, is the willingness to be wrong about anything at any moment is what makes a prize student. Saladin, you said anyone that holds 120 shouldn't trespass against anyone. And we would like that to be the case, but it isn't always. Facts. We are not a condescending people. With people of virtue, righteousness. And that takes practice as double. It takes practice. You'll realize too as you learn things, though, that there are moments where you'll find yourself being an asshole too. Chad, I was asking, was it you that said that? No, I didn't originally say that. That's not a saying that comes from me. Other people have said that, but no one recent that is alive in the last 200 years originated that. Okay. That's an old Taoist saying. What I said, to add on to that, my insight is that I would say that a good student is willing to be wrong about anything at any moment. Because also, to me, what makes a great student is not just that they realize that they don't know anything, but that they're willing to be wrong at any moment. So, because sometimes it's the arrogance of, or, you've been faithfully living off something that is not true. This could be a problem. Right? That's peace. Very welcome. A good student is never above correction, right? Right. But the point I'm making is that it's hard to be a good student. Okay, let's not take it so. It is hard to be a good student. Okay, it takes work. It takes work. I share just because I'm enjoying it. The tea that I'm drinking, the energy tea. It's my favorite brand of Guayusa tea. I'm just waiting. I'm just trying to get this. Yeah, I'm actually having the guayusa loose leaf tea from this company. It's really good. I've been working out with it, training with it all week, and have had great results as a pre-workout, and then even later during the day um, to charge me up to write more and read more. So again, always looking for things to build up that triangle of power. Right? What I like to call the triangle of power. Okay? How we're building on our reading, training, or right, what we're doing the knowledge to, what we're sharing, right, what we're creating, right, what we're creating, right, and how we're building our body. Okay? Triangle of power. Okay. And technically, right, if I wrote it mathematically correct, it probably would be this way. Let me delete that. Because if we did it so that way you guys understanding as how it puts an understanding, it would be what we do the knowledge to, how we train and develop our mind and body, and also how we create. Now, what I wrote here, reading, training, and writing, these are the things that I do in my life. You know, that's the focus triangle of power. But for you, you'll have to find yours. It'll. I think it ought to include those things, but for what are gifts and talents that you're exploring, you know, they'll extend for yourself. You should always be. One of the things you should be doing is always trying to explore what are your talents, what are the things that you can learn, right? And also studying the things that really ignite you, that are useful, right? For me, it's it's always been collecting music. That's always been the fuel, right, for my creativity, right? Listening to music and developing my palette in that fashion. Right? I haven't checked my social media, so I just want to see. But all right, so let's get into. Writing down notes of what we are covering here. Right? Now I'm going to give this homework assignment again because it didn't really. But the homework assignment is the same that I gave a while ago, but I never got anyone to give it back. No one did it. No one did it. So This is the homework assignment because I want to go through some of this criteria as you challenge it, okay? And then I will re-challenge you with it, but also take you through it and give you answers. So we'll make it interactive. But you never did it. To really get through that knowledge degree in the 1 to 10, who is the original man? The original man is the Asiatic black man, the maker, the owner, the cream of the planet, the father of civilization, and God of the universe. Yeah, income. Yeah. You really have to make a criteria, right? Yeah. I will say this though, G1, always remember, music is a dangerous teacher. Okay. Reminds me of that Lou Rawls song, "The blues is a woman in a tight black dress." Okay. And if you learn from music in general, treat all music like the blues. You know, like Lou Rawls treats the blues particularly, right? It's definitely the blues. Let's go by with that. For your enjoyment later. But no problem. That's why we give it again, though. You know what I mean? There's no shortage of work, though. Okay? Only you know if you're really doing all your work, or doing work that is most useful and beneficial, right? The more I get to know you, brothers and sisters, personally, the more that I can really harass you and bother you about what you ought to need to be doing, right, Saladin? Right? And all right, so I think that we can go into, let's super recap the health protocol. Some of the people emailed me, but I realized that I gotta redo this thing. There were a lot of typos and a lot of things that are incomplete and things to learn even better. So um, I want to add on some new things to it and refine some of the details. All right. So that's why I didn't give out the Living Foods protocol. But in the Living Foods protocol, things that we went through immediately the most important thing, the mentality of the diet. Okay. Oh yeah, Saladin, every day, all day, of course, yeah, definitely. Okay, so we went through the mentality of the diet, specific things within that, like your likes and dislikes, right? Judging your likes and dislikes, analyzing your likes and dislikes. Okay, giving, and one of the reasons is because what you truly need isn't always what you're gonna like. So you have to actually taper your taste buds. You have to learn to develop your taste buds, right? And that would entail then the next thing, mindfulness. Okay, and that just means being mindful, knowing all the ingredients of the things you eat. If you eat a prepared meal, study what parts of the foods are going to give you your proteins in that meal. What parts of the food are going to give you the carbohydrates? Are they complex carbohydrates? All of these things. Do that research. So respect what you put in your body by at least beginning to do the research of knowing what it is and then knowing what it does. Okay, and of course, the more that you get rid of, the more you'll have to be an educated consumer. Okay, if you want to be a vegan or anything like that, you're gonna have to be an educated consumer. All right. So we went through what I consider the ideal living foods diet. I do consider it to be vegan. I do consider it to be foods that have a living energy, that aren't decaying. We went through the elimination for detoxification foods and some of their replacements. So we went through the four major categories, which were one, meat. Number two is dairy. Number three is the condiments. And four is processed. Those are the four main things to get rid of. And I think in my updated, see, I was using the paper. I think that there was actually, let's see, I was looking at this before, and it seemed to me that my saved PDF of this was more detailed. Let me see if this is the case. Peace. All right. I could have sworn I had a fifth thing there. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right. I had added on the updated one a fifth thing to eliminate, and that was unfiltered water, because people weren't thinking about that. And we get into all those things about what the best water, but just I keep it simple because we're all beginning with all these different things. Get a breeder filter, filter your water. Don't drink tap water. You know what I mean? You can do other things to alkalinize your water. You know what I mean? You can, get some lemon in there, and all that kind of stuff. But immediately, filter your water. Okay. So those are the things. I'm glad I was able to go through that really quickly again. The 5 things to get rid of, and we went through some of the things to replace meat with. Some of the proteins. Where do you get your proteins? Dairy. Again, we went through replacements. Obviously, if in today's time, it's so much easier. You don't even need soy milk to replace, dairy. And if there are tons of cheese replacements, if you're into that kind of stuff. If you still have to taste the cheese and you're still addicted to it. They even make the fake cheeses smell just as horrendous and horrific as as real cheese. And as you can tell, I'm not a fan of any type of cheese, fake or real or whatever. Condiments. Replacing salt, sugars, ketchups, going with the organic replacements, and then also tapering them. Just because you replace sugar with organic sugar doesn't mean that you go nuts with organic sugar. Okay? Doesn't mean you go nuts with honey or agave nectar or anything like that. It means that you learn how to use them properly. Okay? Your salt should always be replaced with sea salt. There really should be no excuse to not replace salt with sea salt, because sea salt is very, very inexpensive. Okay? And sea salt is more potent than regular processed salt. So that sea salt, even though it's a little bit more expensive, it's going to last longer. Okay? Absolutely salty. It's one of the things. And of course, processed foods. Take note of the processed foods that you eat, though. The easy way is to look at what are the ingredients in the things that I eat that are in bags and boxes. Okay? Make sure, right? He said starch bomb. That's exactly what we're talking about. Right? Hey, it's so popular now that something good has become very inexpensive to get. And that's a good thing. All right. So one of the last things in this Living Foods protocol that I have immediately here is I made an economical beginner vitamin supplement list. It's a beginner vitamin supplement list. Not something conclusive and stuff. There's a lot of other things that I love and aren't in here. Okay? But if you're on a budget and stuff, what do you begin with? Okay? The first thing is your antioxidants. Antioxidants can be expensive, right? Antioxidants are the pollutants that get in your body, right? So if we're dealing with antioxidants, probably the first, most easiest one. And remember, every single vitamin, right? Every vitamin that we take, though, is because the foods that we have are not supplementing us properly. Even the organic foods are not as quality as they once were. So if you supplement, it's because you want to get yourself back on track. Okay? But understand that the chemical processing that makes a vitamin, let's say, for example, the first one on the list, vitamin C, is, if you ever research it, it's quite horrendous. It's amazing. It's amazing the chemical, the chemical processing that's involved to recreate vitamin C. They're not just squeezing a whole bunch of lemons. That's not how it works. They can never do that anyway. That would take forever. Okay? But if you start with vitamin C, you probably could start with Vitamin Shop, vitamin C, because that's the cheapest, and you get the vitamin C just by itself, and low dosages. but repeated throughout the day because it's water soluble. Okay, so as you collect the antioxidants, that vitamin C would interact with it and grab it and expel it. So since it's water soluble, though, you would be able to take as you go along. Okay. Looking for the link. It's so funny. I'm looking this up and it's not. The Vitamin Shop page is not showing me their vitamin C brand. That's the first brand. You know, it's like so weird. Now, if you go to, there we go. Okay. Okay, yeah, this is the one. I want you to get this. This is very inexpensive. You can saladine, you can make it to a ripe old age without taking a vitamin supplement, but you have to have more quality foods. And the thing is, though, what do I mean by what is a supplement? Something to add on something that might be missing or insufficient. I think that we have to look at all the foods that we're eating now, even if they're good quality foods, that they would be insufficient. We're not going to be able to afford the highest level. Even there's even levels to organic quality, so we're not always going to be able to afford the highest level of organic foods. So if you get your apples and oranges and fruits and vegetables, you still want to add on, and if you don't feel as strong, to supplement. Okay, so there's nothing wrong with supplementing. Okay. And the vitamin C, this vitamin C should last you a whole month, even longer. Okay. If you're dealing with, if you do get the vitamin C, do not get buffered. Buffered means that they add certain ingredients to things. You know, it's supposed to be healthy, but they add certain ingredients so that way it absorbs easier because vitamin C is very ruthless on the body. It causes you diarrhea if you OD. Um, vitamin C, the vitamin C powder from Vitamin Shop that is buffered tastes like cardboard. It tastes horrible. It is unnecessary. Just get the vitamin C powder by itself. If you're going to supplement, again, you don't have to saladine. You don't really have to, but it helps. Then you have green tea. I think the teas are one of the greatest things to use to really gain energy. You have energy teas that you can replace. Um, you can replace for pre-workout drinks or coffee throughout the day. My go-tos are, yerba mate and guayusa. Guayusa is so, you can get that on Amazon. I have the link earlier up in the chat. Yerba mate. This is the brand. This is not the best brand, but it's a very quality brand, and because it's half the amount, the cost of the Guayaki brand. I think yeah, the Guayaki brand that makes a very good yerba mate too. So, if you want to go with that one, by all means. But this is the cheapest, and that website gives you $2 shipping, so you can't beat that. So it's about $10 to get something that's going to last a long time. And the green teas, there's a lot of green teas. If my favorite way to get green tea though is to go to Chinatown and pick out green teas. But if you're getting brands that you can buy and stuff like that, I've always liked Prince of Peace. It's a good tea bag, a good tea bag version of green tea. I'm trying to find a link, man. I'll just give you an Amazon link. You know, when I look for links, when I need the links, they're nowhere to be found. They're just really destitute. My favorite green tea is chastity. And if you don't have a taste for green tea or teas in general, instead of dousing a million pounds of sweetener in there, and that includes anything, honey, agave, anything. I don't care if it's natural, righteous, or anything like that. Because you're going to be drinking more than one cup of tea, though, that becomes a lot of sugar to take in. If you have trouble getting a taste for things, um, it works if you try things. Okay, so what were you sharing here, G1? It's a couple of things here that was a little convoluted here. Nature's Plus, good brand, a lot of good stuff. Source of Life, Gold Liquid, Tropical. I don't know what you're sharing here. I know you're sharing multivitamins, though. Yogi Tea. Yogi Tea is a good brand. It's a good brand. It's a little bit more expensive because they give you less cups, you know what I mean? I mean, less bags, you know. But definitely, but the teas are a good thing to have, you know what I mean? If you're trying to relax and stuff, because I gave you teas to give you energy and focus. But when it gets to that nighttime, though, you don't want to be having like yerba mate or guayusa tea, because then you won't have you won't sleep. Chamomile tea is my favorite. Chamomile tea, though, is probably one of the easiest teas to get a taste for in your palate if you're not used to having teas without sugar. I really don't advocate you'll never be a real tea drinker if you put sugars in there. You know what I mean? Of course, there's a lot of other good black teas too. You know, my sister got me into black teas, and the Twinings tea actually has been making better work of themselves, which I was surprised at. So their teas, their black teas were surprised me, to say the least. Okay? So then we also have another vitamin, a fat soluble vitamin that is also antioxidant, but it's fat soluble, so you take it once a day. And always have some kind of, if you want to get back on track and get your health right, get yourself a B complex 100 milligrams. Okay, they have all the B vitamins. They have plenty. Solgar is a good brand for that. Make sure it's vegan, vegetarian capsules. You know what I mean? Don't get some. Waste your time though if you get it all in swine capsule. And that will really get you on point though. I've never used dandelion tea. I tried it once. I thought it was okay, but I've never used it as, you know, functionally like that. You know, I didn't know that it was considered something that was a coffee substitute. So that means that it's expected to give you energy. Right? I know this for sure though. The guayusa and the yerba mate teas, they will give you energy. Okay, they will give you energy. I don't know how the dandelion tea that gives you energy and stuff like that. Dandelion sounds like it doesn't give you energy, but that doesn't mean anything. But yeah, there's a lot of good benefits about dandelion tea. So even if you didn't take it as a replacement for coffee, um, it certainly is good for the body and for the stomach and stuff. You know what I mean? Also, too, another favorite tea that I like to have to relax, and also is very good. I love it as an essential oil too. I just love the smell of it though. It's lemongrass. Okay? Lemongrass teas and stuff. I love it. I have not tried CBD oil, but I've read good things, and a lot of people swear by it and stuff. Again, I'm giving you something. Remember what I said. This is I wrote here the economical way, a beginner vitamin supplement list. CBD oil is absolutely not a beginner economical way. CBD oil is expensive, so it's not a good beginner list. Yeah, that sounds great. Real hip hop mixing in lemongrass with green tea. That's a great idea. That's a great idea. Okay, raw sea moss gold. Okay, definitely, 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 yeah, definitely. Just give me a moment here. I'm trying to. Okay. All right. Sorry about that. There's so many things to check out here. I take CBD off hemp flower, smoke it to relax. The oil is good. Tea or coffee to help focus. Okay, I don't deny those benefits though. I've definitely read a lot of good things about CBD oil. Right? Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, I definitely don't have a problem with that. Well, yeah, the only thing is, you know, it's not as economical for everyone. You know? But the teas that I'm talking about, especially green tea, though, is something. If you don't have money and if you're in the, um, forgetting it. One of the best brands of tea that you'll see in a store, because sometimes you may not know. Like you go to a supermarket, and you just don't have money, and you go to a regular supermarket in the hood. One of the best companies that will be there that have quality tea is Celestial Seasonings. So if you get a tea, you get one from there, especially like the chamomile. It's real quality. Their green teas are good too. Okay, so you can, and they make good. If you want things that taste good, they make good combinations. They have good combinations. That's peach Jib, and I appreciate that. I might check that myself. Check that myself. Because you talk about the sea moss and stuff, right? Yeah, sea moss is something I haven't really, I don't have regularly. So it might be something engage in more regularly. I'm usually always messing with teas and stuff. Just obsessed with them. All right. So another thing is that a lot of times people might feel like they have to get their, you know, that I thought immediately a beginner trying to get their health back would be their omega-3 balance. Most foods have omega-6s. If you're eating bad foods, it's mostly omega-6s in the oils. And I didn't mention here in the condiment section, okay? But the oils that you use to cook with are crucial. They can give you stomach aches and all that. If you want to be simple, real simple, olive oil for low flame and salads, and use coconut oil for anything else. Okay, this is where you want to start. Grapeseed oil, avocado oil, those are all good oils. Try not to use processed oils. Um, Always try to get a quality oil. Okay, because it's something that could silently and covertly be hurting you. Is the oil that you're cooking your foods with. Okay. All right, now, and then the other thing, I said the omega-3 fatty acids are what you would want to get. Um, Nowadays, you don't need fish oils, okay? You don't need fish oils for, you can get vegan supplements because now they go to the source. So there's a lot of good brands. So if you look up, vegan omega-3, you're gonna get vegan sources from the algae, okay? Directly from the algae. So there's countless amount of brands. You know, um, Nordic Naturals I remember them being one of the first to have it. Um, Diva Vegan, that was definitely probably the first one I remember having. A vegan omega-3 fatty acid. But if you're feeling imbalanced with your oils and stuff like that, and that means like you're eating foods and you're getting like stomach aches and you can't really trace it and your food seems good. Um, Also, too, take note of how you train and stuff like that, how you're sweating and things like that. You know what I mean? These are important to take note of. Yeah, the CLAs um, I don't use that particularly as a supplement. I don't get CLAs. And I certainly don't consider it though a necessary like a beginner supplement. Like if you're really trying to change your health immediately and you need it, it could be useful. Um, but that's something that's found in beef and dairy, right? But you know they do make it from linoleic acid and safflower oil um, for vegans. So it can be useful. You know what I mean? But it's not one of the immediates that I'll give. But that's certainly something to use. And of course, I would always advocate the vegan. Okay. Um, Also, too, one of the things I use heavily is I've always used a I have always used a chlorophyll powder, okay, of some sort, and getting the chlorophyll green chlorophylls and the red chlorophylls has always been crucial. All right. So amazing grass is really good. Real hip hop. I'll answer that as soon as I finish. Like I'm almost finished here with the Living Foods protocol, um, and I'll build on that. Okay. Let me copy it and put it in the notes. That way I don't forget. Was it hard for you to start going vegan? It was hard, but I was very militant. It was about getting rid of everything and being rebellious. So I became a vegan in my late teens because by the time I was a teenager, I already didn't eat dairy, and I got rid of pork as a teenager as well, as a late teenager. So I wasn't eating dairy by the time I was like, I don't know. Let's see. I'm trying to think of the year. Yeah, by the time I was 17, so it was a transition to get rid of the rest of the meats was easier. The difficulty was in finding what to eat and always being nervous about having things that were wrong. And so that became difficult. But once I found a health food store, and actually found I was vegan before I even knew what a health food store was. So the transition is difficult, but that shouldn't be the problem that you face because there's so much more education, right? So it should be easier, and it should be easier on the wallet as well. The and how can one start with the transition? Look past the living foods protocol when I built on it because I built a lot about the transition and what to do, but it's really about that's not really what happens and stuff. I think that the lack of B12 is exaggerated for vegans, but a lot of the foods that vegans eat though are already supplemented. You know what I mean? Because they do have, they end up with a lot of. A vegan is going to be a more educated consumer, so they're going to have they're going to have their supplements. They're going to have foods that are enriched. Just like meat eaters aren't getting any vitamin D. They're getting it enriched. You know what I mean? And thrown into milk, right? Awkwardly. Same thing happens on the other side. But the chlorophylls, you know, the amazing grass has the chlorophylls cheap. That's always been a way to, if you're going to detox the chlorophylls, um, you know, um, the chlorophylls are a way to detox, though, and also give you energy. So look into the amazing grass, and it's very affordable. Very affordable and really high quality. I've had a lot of chlorophyll powder in the last 25 years, and plus 25 years, and they're up there at the top. Protein powder. Um, as long if it's vegan, if it's not soy protein isolates, don't get soy protein powders. They're too processed. Get something with pea protein or something like that. I like if I was picking something. Amazing Grass makes their own protein powder. It's a little bit more expensive, but it has the greens in it, so you can get everything at once, all together, which is great. But if you can only afford the protein powder, I've always liked Sun Warrior. It's very efficient, very tasty, and very inexpensive. So that's a good way to go with that. I'll just throw a website in here so that we could do the knowledge. We could do the knowledge for that. Yeah, and those are the essentials. Those are the essentials. Um, Unless anybody has any questions about that, we'll leave it there for now as far as the Living Foods Protocol. Anyway, all right. Let's see here. Let me take a moment and open that article that you're asking me about because I don't remember everything about it. Um, yeah, so Real Hip Hop 216, you're asking me about the article called what exactly is is 5% or NGE Culture. All right, let me answer that in a minute. I use Garden Life Raw Organic. Yeah, Garden Life is a good product. I use that too for many years. Yeah, definitely. Absolutely, yeah. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I like Garden Life. Yeah. Good flavors, good taste. You know what I mean? Not heavy. You know? Yeah, I definitely use that. Yeah. I just found somewhere that I find that to be the most cheapest. You know? The most inexpensive to get, you know? But sometimes, depending on the store you go to, sometimes Garden Life is the most inexpensive. But Real Hip Hop, just curious, what was the reason that you're asking me about that article? I don't know where it is. Let me quickly search for this article so that way I can answer it. But I did read it though. And I know that there was some controversy, which I didn't really bear witness to. You know what I mean? Didn't really, you know. Okay, so yeah, again, you know, Starmel is one of them. Has written two of the most crucial books any beginner that is coming into this nation or interested in this nation should have. The Righteous Way books, The Righteous Way and The Righteous Way Golden Jubilee Edition. It is a trilogy of books that is ending with the Infinity Edition, which I'm editing now. And you know, I think that those works are crucial, and the last one that I'm editing is definitely crucial and worthwhile. But I edited all those books. I didn't have a problem with what he was saying in this article. Um, I know that people did, but you know, I don't know. There's a part of the article talking about people who use the 120 to argue and put down others who don't take the lessons to head. Yeah, that's true. That's not true. Yeah, they do that. Yeah, they do that. And as a nation, that we've done that. You know, sometimes people don't like to see things like that written out there in public. You know, they want to save face. They don't want people to know that we've done this. But when you go online and when you go on the social media and stuff, you go to videos on the internet, right? And people are doing this everywhere. So now when he writes an article about it, though, now we're losing face. You know, now it's shameful. You know, it's only bothering the people that actually you know succumb to that, that actually do that kind of stuff. You know? Let me put the link in for the article. If people are interested in the article, I can answer. What's up? Okay. But yeah, you know, yeah. I mean, a lot of people didn't, but it was more because they didn't want it to be put out there like that. It's embarrassing. But I don't know what's not true, so I don't know what to say shouldn't be in the piece. You know, we're supposed to always put out. You know, people don't. The journalism of being 5% is like, what do we put out there? You know what I mean? A lot of us, you know, we have to build and present ourselves to those who don't know. But we also have to realize that a website like that is really being written for the nation to learn about what's going on within the nation. You know what I mean? So we got to adjust the people in the nation too. And they're taking something that should be shown and proven and to be used for all human families to just look down on everyone now and to argue, right? And no one, absolutely no one, Zero people can tell me that I don't know that that's true. Where you from, real hip hop? Where you from? Yeah, let me know where you from. I'm someone that has seen a lot of bickering and a lot of arguing to this day. But I still don't think it's an excuse not to build with anybody locally or to do certain things. It's just to find your mark and build like that. You know what I mean? It happens everywhere. You know what I'm saying? It happens everywhere. It happens everywhere. Where wouldn't it happen though? And with what wouldn't happen? People can't even agree that Jordan is damn goat. You have guys that lose the same amount of finals that he won, and they get to be in the conversation. You know what I mean? I would hope though that I could write 6 horrible books and completely fail, and only write 3 books that are good, and I would be considered an incredible writer. I would hope that would be the case. But listen, the main focus is we always build with the youth. Those people who do have the knowledge of self, they're gonna get the knowledge of self. Um, if you can't build with them, then you can't build with them. That's just the way it is. You know, I don't think that the responsibility for us though at a law school in Mecca, we don't have the opportunity, the option, um, the what's the word I'm looking for? I don't know why the word escapes me, but we don't really have the you know the lower the easy way out and say, well, we're not going to build because people aren't really listening or they're not really building and things like that. What we do have is the opportunity to continue to fight, continue to look within ourselves because maybe like we're the ones that are making that mistake. You know what I mean? Well, what would be militant? You know what I'm saying? What would be militant? There are people that think I'm militant, so I don't know. I don't know what that would mean. What would that would mean as far as like who's what? Right? Just checking to see if there were any comments or anything. I had a message, but it wasn't pertaining to that. Alright. So, alright, let's see what we have here. Alright, back to books that are written by me. I do. I have one. Um, it's a hip hop book. It's my own creative writings and music writings. So the first of many. And I'll be writing books that deal with this knowledge, but they'll all be creative. I don't really like making people pay for the bills that I had and stuff. Like take my plus lessons and put them in a book. You know, that's not me. I like to sell my creative works. Okay. Well, real hip hop. I don't know what you mean by use 120 for hate, though. That's very generic. You know, I don't know what that means. It sounds so, you know, it sounds melodramatic when I read it. I'm reading it. It's very melodramatic, so I can't really answer to that. You know what I'm saying? Because let me tell you what Allah School of Mecca, all the elders, everybody in the building, there are people that I disagree with. There are people I don't like. There's people I do like, but I don't agree with them. There's people I agree with that I don't like. And then there's people that I feel that are very agreeable, but aren't really good builders, like getting things done or really have a good way of doing things. So I don't think that anything is really motivated by hate, though. Even if there might even be people that do hate me. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just not enough. You know? And I know that the sample size of what I'm dealing with, though, is way bigger than what you're dealing with. You know what I mean? And so I'm putting that on you because there has to be a way for you to build. If not with them, then build up young gods that you could build with. You know what I mean? Listen, you can buy my book on the Amazon link. Honestly, I get more profit from my books if you buy it from me personally. But you know, email me. I don't like to sell my stuff while I'm teaching. Okay, so if you really want to buy my stuff, that's a hip hop conversation. That's my creative works. You know, my next book is going to be all of the poetry that I've written about hip hop up to a certain point, and so it's really like a poetry book. You know, like you know why I'm called Skilla Straight Low, but I don't like to sell any of that stuff. I don't like to talk about any of that stuff like that. As far as selling my own stuff while we're building it, this is where I'm building and I'm sharing things, and everything that's for you should be free here. Okay. So as far as books I published an ebook on Google called the Sunez Crates, and I published my first physical book, which is also available, called Unfiltered Essays from the Invisible Renaissance. But that answers the question. If you want to get those books, you could, email me sunez97@gmail. But if you do, ask me a question too. Ask me about stuff. I'm not here on this thing right now selling anything. I have my own shows, hip hop shows. I have all that stuff. I'll peddle things to the end of time. Right? But I see what you're saying, Real Hip Hop 216. I don't want you to lose. Don't lose focus, and don't. You should have the audacity that you could be more stronger than them. If people are wrong, then you should be able to be more stronger. Oops, no. Make mistakes. How are you supposed to? And it was G1 that asked if I have any books that I wrote. I wrote. Knowledge of Self book, I did co-edit. The Righteous Way books, I co-edited. Allah Jihad's book. Why am I forgetting? The Immortal Birth, I edited that book. So a lot of the books on the nation I edited that are really worthwhile. The Immortal Birth, yeah. Thank you. I edited that book. So. Another good book, When we talk about Anecdotal, well, that's a great anecdotal book, you know what I mean? Man. If they're not, I'll tell Starmel. You know, let's see. No, the first one, The Righteous Way, is not available um, on Kindle, but The Righteous Way Golden Jubilee Edition is. Mhm. I'm gonna ask him if he's ever gonna put The Righteous Way, the original, as a digital book. I don't know. We'll see. Ask him. All right. Again, take note of the homework assignment that I gave, the criteria list. These are things that you can ask me. Before I continue, okay, is there any archaeological proof of Yakub? Is there any archaeological proof that Jesus existed? Uh, shit, I'm trying to think of a book, and you just stumped me because there's a book that I have, and I can't remember the title of it. Um, as far as Jesus, there's not really anything particular that would prove Jesus. Certainly not Yakub. Um, but the reality of what they have done as far as Yakub, yes, right? And real hip hop, I tend to write lots of books. I will write. There are many books that I have written. It's just they're going to be published, accordingly. Um, like I said, I have poetry books. I have more books about music. I have a special autobiography I'm writing. Special because it's unique format. Um, and I have a book about martial arts and the knowledge of self and how that coincides. But it's also a creative book as well, and that's coming out soon too. So I have a lot of books. It's just when they come out. Okay. A good place to start though for archaeological proof though about Yakub though. It's not really Yakub, but you know what he did is making it a white man read book. This book stays going like a thread, and I wish there was a PDF version somewhere. Even right now, I don't have my own copy with me right now. You know, and it's a book I had to go buy again after lending it out. That's great. That's an incredible place to be. Okinawa, some of the longest lived people. Since we're talking about diet, right? So the book, hold on to that book serious because it's a rarity. It certainly is a rarity. All right, so what I'm gonna do, we still might have time after I do all that. Now I'll cut through if there's some questions or anything else, but I want to go. Yeah, I don't know why I don't have that paper with. I want to go through the justice bill, so that way when you go through your degrees, what is the checklist to go through your degrees? Of course, I don't have it paper, but that's okay. That's all right. So we have it here. What was the name of that book you mentioned in class a while ago that talks about the Eastern style of teaching? There's a lot of books that talk about that. One of them, Learning How to Learn. Just off the top of the head. Of course, though, if you're talking about pedagogy you always want to read. You want to read Pedagogy, the oppressed by Paulo Freire. All right, let me open this plus lesson. Okay, this plus lesson is called the Justice Bill. Okay. I'm trying to maximize the space that I have here. Here we go. That makes it much better because I don't need to see my face. I need to see the chat bar. All right. That's P.E.A.C.E. That's P.E.A.C.E. 793. Iceman Inheritance is a good book too. A lot of interesting, intriguing ideas in there. I had a copy and I lost that one too. Okay, so this plus lesson is called the Justice Bill. All right, so I'm gonna start it now. Okay, the 120 lessons are a complete tool of learning if one applies a complete body of disciplines to it. Below are 10 immediate disciplines and concepts to begin with. Each point would be related to the first degree in the student enrollment. Who is the original man? The original man is the Asiatic black man. I'm actually reading it because I want to see if I wrote it right. The maker, the owner, the cream of the planet Earth, father of civilization, and God of the universe. The stratagem here may be applied to any teaching we come across. But I'm using the knowledge degree in the plus lesson. I use the knowledge degree so that way it could be applied immediately. Okay. The first thing to do when you're looking at your degrees, though, again, this seems basic, but the point of these plus lessons is to get the obvious out of the way, so that way you don't look at degrees and go and look at the harder degrees and go, "What the hell do I do with this?" You know what I mean? You even try to ask a question and you wouldn't know. And I thought of this because I had teachers like Firstborn Prince, who were very hard on any kind of questions that you would ask that you should be able to answer. And I had teachers like my enlightened knowledge me who always answer my question with another question. So I always had to go back and do some more research. Okay? So they sort of help you. The first thing is the immediate, the vocabulary. Okay? Number one is the vocabulary. I'm going to write them down here so that way in the Justice Bill you get like the categories of these. Email me and give you the whole thing. Right? What is the vocabulary? Again, these sound obvious though, but we're not doing that. A lot of people aren't doing that. Remember, the vocabulary is important because remember when I tell you, like, one of the ways that we build on supreme mathematics, the day's supreme mathematics to an individual, is first we got to be able to break down the supreme definitions of it. Right? So the vocabulary, before we even seek to explain the meaning of the degree, let alone get an understanding, we must know what the words themselves mean. And of course, in this case, we would go, I have the example here, what does Asiatic mean? Okay? So let's go, like we would do for product. What is Asiatic, right? Meaning, right? We go meaning, relating to or deriving from Asia, okay? So then why would that be in degree, though? Wouldn't it be kind of like just targeting only that, all right? So then we start to learn, though, that when we go through Asia and then the roots of Asia would take us to Pangea. And now we're into a different type of definition science of etymology, right? Etymology being the history of the study of words and their meanings, right? And how they change. Right? Okay? So now we see, like, wait a minute, you have Oriental, you have Asian, you have Asiatic. What does that mean here, right? A lot of brothers were built by breaking down things using the suffix and then using the word Asiatic, the storehouse of Asia, the entire world, because Asia meant Pangea. So in etymology, that means the entire land mass, as it was one mass, right? You shouldn't really worry about the grammar obsessively in any degrees, because Elijah Muhammad had horrible grammar, okay? But particularly in the knowledge degree in student enrollment, for example, that I'm built on here. The grammars are exactly how you should read it, though. Student enrollment doesn't really have much as far as grammar flaws, so I definitely would read it to know it. And I don't care if the grammar's off. You should be able to rewrite your degrees as you have them, even if the grammar sucks. Okay? Consistency. But as far as speaking, sometimes the grammar, like in the Wisdom Build degree, is so off that you wouldn't really recite the degree the way they've grammatically cut it. So that could be a problem. With the student enrollment, not really. No. You could read it as it is grammatically written. Okay? But I think I say with all your lessons, you rewrite them, you keep them to the grammar, no matter how beat up it is, the same way, okay? Even though in some of the degrees, right, like I mentioned, you may not read it as grammatically. But remember, grammar is for reading, so you could actually read and speak it. And sometimes it's really off and not really the way you're going to do it. All right, so we go past vocabulary. Okay, so now we got some vocabulary, right? In the knowledge degree, most of the other words, they don't need vocabulary lessons unless the student is young. They need context. So original man is not something that people don't know what it means. They don't know what the context means here. Black man is a word that sounds simple, but it has context problems, right? Because then we say, well, who do we mean by black? And we go black, brown, yellow. So then that we're getting detail. There's lots of understanding to be dealt with, right? So now let's continue. We have basic vocabulary, the words that you don't know what they mean, right? The second thing is history. Okay, history. The second thing is history. So I'm just going from window to window here. Right. History. This is what I wrote. The 120 lessons are not structured chronologically. That means they're not in order. And many become confused by the timeline. Right, Saeed? Throw in the Asiatic calendar, a calendar based on events more than astrological timing, and there could be extreme confusion. We must know the time we are studying and also the historical events referenced or the history it suggests we should know of. What is the history of Asia? See, this is where the etymology, the vocabulary of Asia, Asiatic, back to Asia. What does that mean? Pangea, the entire landmass is one. Now we can give it a context, and now it doesn't confuse when we go back to history. All right? Because now learning the vocabulary of Asiatic and then leading into the etymology, the subsection of vocabulary, right, the study, right? Now we got back into history, and now history has a better context now. You see how we're going through things, and each thing is helping the next, right? Another example, how is the black man the father of civilization, right? So in the knowledge degree, it's really easy because we have a blatant, study question, okay? We have a blatant study question. Just missing it if you're missing. All right. How was the black man the father of civilization? And for you to know, I gotta add this to the plus lesson, but one of the aspects of the history of the degree is also the history that you get from the elder, the enlightener, the teacher that you are learning from, that will give you the context, right? The context, okay? Right. All right? To give you the context. So, in other words, you also have to learn the history of what was in the degree. So what was put in the degree, how it was put in the degree. So in this case, father of civilization would be an example, right? father of civilization was added to it. It wasn't in the original supreme wisdom from the Nation of Islam. Okay. Now, Real Hip Hop 216, you're asking Asia equals after Africa. No, that's not what we're saying here. Asia literally means Pangea. Okay. So that word is being used to symbolize the entire landmass of all. Africa is a new word. Okay. Africa is a new word. Okay. Right? And Asia technically is a new word too, but the etymological root of Asia is going back to Pangea, and that is the usage that is being used here. Okay? All right, Saladin, I am a respecter of man. How can you not keep your guard up or be uneasy when pondering the second lesson in the student room? All right, you know. We have to be aware of all humanity, okay? We have to be aware of all humanity, right? Because remember, if there's a humanity that's not right and exact, who's the one that made them that way? Who's the one that made them? We have to be aware of all things, okay? All right? You didn't get these degrees just so you could, get all nuts and conspiratorial level. Because in that most of people's ideas that prove the wisdom degree in the student enrollment is usually anecdotal, and is exactly what I'm talking about. Okay? Oh yeah, white people ain't shit though, so that proves the degree. It doesn't prove a damn thing. Okay? Right. Well, SW, it is specific to them, right? When we get into the details about who is the colored man, that's specific to the Caucasian. But of what the devil is, though, that's specific to the later degree. Okay, what is a real devil? Okay, so no, the wisdom degree is specific to white people, but the understanding degree is specific to all devils. You got that? The context. So let's be clear, though. Let's be right and exact. Right and exact. Okay? Good points made. Good points made. And good Saladin, you got to be honest. You got to be honest about your observation. That's how you feel. You know what I mean? That's why I'm answering that way, right? But also, the history involves knowing. I'm just writing this down to add to it. Okay, so there are currently any colored people in the nation wondering if Azrael is still in the nation. Azrael returned to the essence, passed away years ago. Okay, and he was a frequent participator, observer in my classroom. I don't even want to say he's a student. I had so much respect for him, but he did come to my class to learn. Right? And he was a great brother. There are white people in the nation. Okay, I've taught white people. Okay, there are white people that I teach that they may not be in the nation officially, but I do consider them 5%ers. Okay, in many ways, because they teach the truth. Okay, and they know who the original man is. They teach the Almighty, true and living God is the Son of Man, the supreme being, black man of Asia. Okay. Now. Let's see. Okay, so we're all following. I hope we're all following what I said about the history. Okay, you got twofold history. You want to know the history of the historical events, the history that we should know of, but also the history of the degree as taught to you with regard to the nation, the father, the way he dealt with the lessons, right? And the lessons itself, like the history of that lesson, okay? The teaching itself, right? And that's where you would learn, for example, in the knowledge degree in the 1 to 10, that the father of civilization in the knowledge degree in the 1 to 10 was added by Allah the Father. All right. Number 3. Okay, number 3. That's right, son. That's right. You gotta be aware of everything. Science. We must engage in the sciences that the degrees are referencing. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad taught as an evangelist, sharing a fact-based religion. That's really what he was doing. He built a massive congregation off the dynamic sharing of unknown truths that he did not technically prove but overtly declared must be accepted. We cannot do that because these Muslim teachings have become our 120 lessons, and so we must look for real scientific reasoning at every turn. And that entails going into things like, as the knowledge degree is our example here, the biochemistry of the black man. Who is black? What does that mean? So we want to look through study of melanin, the books of T. Owens Moore, blah, 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 all these things, biochemistry, everything. Okay? We're going to never stop studying and find real proofs of why we are the original people. Okay? As an example. Okay? So the science. That's should be clear, sometimes it's not. The fourth thing that you're looking for in a degree, though, that really helps you and could help a lot of confusion is to analyze the abstract versus the concrete. Okay? Okay, so number 4 is the abstract versus the concrete. The language of 120 is a dialect we must learn and a way of speaking that is not overtly technical. We must understand the use of metaphor and abstract terms that are not to be taken exactly literal, and other terms that are much deeper than they appear to be. Okay? So, just so we're clear, within the knowledge degree, as the example, the abstract term of cream, right? Or in this case, the deeper meaning would be in reference to words like the black man. Okay? So when we talk about cream is absolutely an abstract term. Okay? There is no physical cream. There is no, if we say, look, we're talking about the black man's sperm and his lifeblood, well, then that still is abstract. Okay? Because there's no such thing as cream of the planet Earth. Okay? It is an abstract term applied to a specific thing, and you would have to figure it out. Okay? So it takes analysis of metaphor and all that. Okay? Because then now, if you say cream of the planet is the life sperm of the black man, then what you're saying, though, is that it is a metaphor. So that is exactly what abstract means. Okay? It is not concrete. Okay? The father of civilization is concrete. Cream of the planet Earth is abstract. Okay? So you want to know what's what, and then you also, that'll help you see which parts of need deeper meaning. Okay? What color is the sun? Okay. Are you following, or are you just asking any old question that comes to your head? Scientists mainly say that the color of the sun is white because it's a mixture of all colors, though. But in my mind, that would mean that it would be black. So it's something I haven't researched lately, so I don't have any up-to-date thoughts about that. That's all I've ever read about that I have off the head. But let's continue. The fifth thing. Okay, let me copy this. The fifth thing that you should be looking for in the justice pilgrim, build with degrees, whether the fifth thing or the 10 things in your checklist, is the titles offered. Surprisingly, this helps a lot. We are learning the knowledge itself with this great aid. In it, titles are shared constantly. That is, I'm talking about 120. In it, 120, that is, titles are shared constantly, and we must note under what conditions and notice their worth, the activities and powers designated by them. We say we are God or Earth, the important titles known, right? So in this degree, you have 3 titles at least. Not really. We have 3 titles offered. God, the maker, the owner. You could even add father of civilization, right? Father of civilization. So there's a lot of titles, at least 4 in there, right? So sometimes breaking down that will analyze. So what these titles are and what these titles are, how you're holding them, okay, and what they mean in reference, because they give you a lot of detail, right? Right. Later in the degrees, you see a lot of meanings. You say W.D. Farb was a prophet, though. These are things that you have to study. What is a prophet? What does that mean? Right? Okay. Number 6. Okay. Today's reality. Okay. With these degrees written in the 1930s, we must learn how to understand how this language fits this time and the people that are around us. How do they see? What would they understand out of 120? How do I share the principles if I quote, paraphrase, or explain in my own words? In other words, what I was telling you this whole time, in the example I wrote here, explaining black man, the black man is God to a Yellow Sea Dominican who is Christian Catholic. Okay, sometimes going through those exercises will actually help you really build on degrees and also find your holes, the holes that you have in your insights and what you need to research. Okay, so working to put it in today's reality of context, use, and usefulness is important. All right. Hope we're all following. Okay. Number 7 is common ancestry. Let me explain this. 120 is a new arcane text of spiritual truth. It's new because it's relatively newer than the Bible and all that kind of stuff. It is arcane because it's understood by few. It is mysterious or secret. It has a language that you have to understand to really follow. Okay? It is important to note how our people learned this truth and what parts of it over the last 6,000 years and beyond. Without, we will not see the useful tools to gain from the past and often will strut around reinventing the wheel. Example, the ancient texts of Islam, the Tao, Buddhism, Hindu, Sufic, Yogic, etc. In other words, some of the things that are taught in 120, though, already were in existence. So we want to see the relationship between other original peoples and what they were teaching. You know? The beginning start that God's elders were doing was by using the Bible, by using the Quran. But there's many other teachings that are even more direct about this knowledge of self. That's why, as the ones that I just mentioned. So you want to see the context of other teachings as well. All right? And again, right, the correlation, recognizing that we're not, don't reinvent the wheel. Many of the truths here are truths because they always were true. So don't assume that everything that's in here, though, was just figured out when it was written in 1934. Okay? That's not necessarily the case, though. So we always want to remind ourselves of that. Okay? The 8th thing is 120 reference. Okay, this is a major rule with me. Because it's a rule because it's proven. You cannot prove a degree in 120 by quoting another degree. Okay? You cannot prove what Elijah said by quoting something else Elijah said. That is the same thing as saying you were correct because you said it's as such last week. Okay? However, in the study of 120, referencing other degrees brings insight to the concepts in each of the degrees. So you are using degrees to mix and match and to see what's missing of parts. They must be cross-referenced to extract the total meaning. Okay? But total meaning is not proof. Okay? Example, the 10th degree in the 1 to 40 acts, who is that mystery God? Okay? This lends insight to the 120 being one of the few spiritual texts to overtly claim it was God, as opposed to other ancient texts that were far more subtle. Okay? So we always want to use the degrees as reference stones. Like, who's the original man? Your 3rd degree is going to immediately supplement that 1st degree, right? That by giving population figures, and now you realize it's original peoples also the 2 million Indians as well. You see? So this is what we mean, though. But neither is proving the other, though. Okay? Just like you'll have to go other places to prove that about the Indians, and other places to prove the insights of the original man being God. Like, you'll have to go somewhere else, or give something else that is beyond 120. Okay? All right, 9 is, of course, this seems obvious, right? But The born one is obviously how to born it. Okay? Okay, before I get into it. Peace. After memorizing 120, should you stay there? Where can it take you practically? It should be applied to all things, because you should be looking at degrees and say, how does it relate to now, today's day and time? You should be looking at the situations we're dealing with in this pandemic and seeing degrees all over the place, okay? And seeing how you can build and how these degrees can focus you, okay? All right, so it never really ends, okay? All right, so this next one, the ninth, is the supreme math. This is the language of our essence, the one how the original man and woman do. It is also the law and order of the universe, and we must always be mindful of the degrees that the lessons highlight. Example, 1, knowledge, the number of the degree, right? And 7, God, mentioned in the lesson, right? So God is the 7th degree in the supreme mathematics, right? That's mentioned in the lesson. And it's the first degree, knowledge. So these things mean something when you're analyzing the degree and its worth, okay? And the last one, okay? And after I finish this, so whatever questions and answers, the last 20 minutes, so it's just you building or whatever you guys want to build about. The last one seems obvious, but it's your understanding. Life is a developing understanding. You must articulate what you know so that you may figure out how you may use it. Your understanding is a unique yet proven insight that propels your way of life. Your building with 120 is nothing without this. You guys have to be cataloging your real understanding. Just like the things that you wrote here, your builds and stuff like that, you should be writing down that in your journal, and you should also be writing down my criticisms, okay, to help further yourself, all right? The order of operations, there you go. Right? Okay, so what seems like an obvious plus lesson is one that should be used as a checklist when it might not be so obvious when we get to degrees that are difficult for us, okay? You shouldn't wear the universal flag if you don't have 120. Why would you do that? Mm-hmm. You don't need this flag to be worn, though, to be the true and living God. Okay. The reason you wear the flag, though, is that so others could see it, though, and you could guide them to it. So that means that if you can't guide them to it, though, why are you wearing it? Okay. So if you're not ready to guide them through it, then you're only wearing it to show everyone that you're the true and living God. But you shouldn't be wearing a flag to show you the true and living God. You should be being the true and living God. So the only reason you're wearing it, though, is to what? Let other people know that you can guide them to that. Okay? I wear a flag everywhere because I'm Sunez Allah. I can't escape this shit. Even when I was like, hey, you wear a flag, everybody knows. You know what I mean? I'm all over the internet. You know what I mean? All this shit I do in hip hop, like, it's hard for me to. Why bother not wearing it? I might as well just, you know, rock my joint everywhere. You know what I'm saying? Right? Would I be beaten up or anything drastic? You know what I mean? Anybody should get beaten up, though, if they profess things that they don't know, right? Ideally, a wonderful world, but that'd be cool too. Not gonna get beaten up though, unless people want to take it there and stuff like that, you know. But if you're wearing a universal flag, though, you should know 120. You should really know it. You know what I mean? Even if you're wearing, I personally, I'm not really with. You know, if you have to know something. You have to know something. So if you're wearing this T-shirt with the universal flag, then know something about it. When I got knowledge, we just wore, and I was knowledge in 120, we wore a pin with the father's, you know, silhouette on it. You know what I mean? Portrait silhouette. You know? And it meant that we knew who he was, we know what this nation is, and that we're learning. You know what I mean? But nah, it ain't those days, though. Nobody should be giving beatdowns and like that. You know? Because if you got in a situation where somebody say you didn't know, you should be telling that you should be learning with one. You're learning with me, or me, or Dark Him, or anyone. And especially, let's say you're learning online, like for now, and you only have me and Dark Him on the daily, on the weekly. Then you should be telling people like, "Yo, I'm learning with them," and if they know anything about this, they shouldn't be beating you up. They should be like, "Oh, Sunez, you know, Sunez will have you with that without really having no way to direct people to it." You know what I mean? Supreme math is definitely like breadcrumbs. Okay? I mean, that's the foundation. It's the foundation. You express yourself through supreme mathematics. That's what you guys have to learn. You're expressing yourself through supreme mathematics all the time. Okay? All the time. And that's why you have to practice with the day's mathematics, so that way you could realize that. Okay? So that concludes that the justice build plus lesson. Okay? So if you have any questions about anything, including that, let me know. All right? All right. Okay, so every first lesson that I've given out, I've pretty much gone through it, and other ones is going to have more. Remember the homework assignment? The justice build, because it's justice 10. And the build, when you're building with degrees, these are the 10 things that you definitely should checklist through. Okay? That's why it's called that. All right? Justice just because it's 10, no. And willingly, if you do all those things, though, you certainly be bringing justice to yourself. If you really can get something useful out of that. Looking at it the wrong way as far as wearing a flag outside. Okay? Who are you wearing a flag for is the first thing. Are you wearing a flag for you, or are you wearing a flag to share things with people? Okay? Once you answer that, though, then you don't have to worry about whether you're going to get beat up or anything like that. Okay? You'll know the answer. You know that, listen, I don't have much to share if people ask me about this. So now I know I shouldn't wear it. Or I have something to really share about this if people ask me. So I can wear it. You know? Don't look about, you're looking at things as far as the penalties of justice instead of the justice that you would bring to people. Okay? Look at things and how you would, what you would bring to people. Okay? You're the true and living God. You're responsible for all of humanity. So everything is a presentation to the world. Okay? Right? Well, every single class that I have done, every single class that I have done online, they're available. I do not delete them. They're all available, on my page, on the channel here, and any and all the clips that have been recorded of me during class sessions are still in the Allah School of Mecca channel. So there's a lot of stuff. Okay, serious peace. What you said, what I took in from the Just Built this challenging one to don't take the lesson for face value and add more layers to the degree. Absolutely serious though. There's so much detail in there. People worry about getting an understanding. They don't get an understanding because they don't go through the checklist and seeing what is the things that I need to learn and break down in this thing. Okay? Right? Including their own understandings about degrees previous. Okay? Because you take those into account too and bring them into. Right? Once you start doing this work though, then you start to see real insights. Okay? I didn't read those comments. I don't want to be banished. Real hip hop, you wouldn't be banished if you were a thing. Where are you on in your lessons? peace. That's peace. Thank you for that. Yeah, real hip hop too. Where are you at in your lessons and stuff? Let me know where you're at, though, because you said two things now that are coupling badly. Like, you're worried that you don't really like the relationships that you have when you build with people that have the knowledge, right? Their militancy, what you said, they're using 120 with hate, and then you also talk about, worried about wearing the flag. So you're painting a very, your cipher, wherever you're building at, though, sounds extremely negative. You know what I'm saying? And if it's negative like that, and if there's other gods that don't understand where you're trying to come from, or you feel like you're having a problem, I'm an elder in this. So you tell them to contact me, and we could talk about whatever. You know what I'm saying? Right. But you should only be wearing the lapels, the most important type of flag. Okay? When you have that lapel, that flag, that pinned on you, you got it on 120. Right? Let shit go. When people have a T-shirt, maybe a chain, kind of let it go. You got that lapel with the universal flag. You better know that shit. Okay? I'm not with anybody wearing a universal flag on a lapel pin, and they don't have 120. Okay? Absolutely. But and G1, you said he wants to distinguish himself. Let's not make judgments about people, okay? Let's not make judgments about people. Real hip hop is asking things sincerely. You know what I'm saying? One of the ways, whether a chat or in a live classroom, could be disintegrated is when someone's sincere thoughts and questions in this laboratory of the classroom where things are supposed to explode or implode, right? And learn from it. Where they get judged by others. Don't judge. Okay? Okay. In other words, what have you memorized? What have you memorized? You know what I mean? Have you memorized the order would be math, alphabet, right? 1 to 10, 1 to 36, 1 to 14, 1 to 40. What have you memorized? Where are you in memorizing mathematics, alphabet, and 120? Because this will give you the station that you're in when you deal with other brothers. That's all right, real hip hop. I already built with them, and you wanna see that you're getting it. Yeah, this is very important though, because look, when you get this, you'll be giving it to other people. Okay, and sometimes when you start to teach other people, you'll take their comments and you'll judge them. Okay, be very careful. Be careful. Be very careful with doing that. Okay, and as students though, you don't want to judge other students and their levels. Okay. Because then they won't feel comfortable to relay things that might not be correct. Okay? Right? The best thing that real hip hop is doing is saying things that he doesn't know if they are correct or not and sound incorrect. You see what I'm saying? The fact that he's willing to say stuff that could be incorrect shows that he has the daring of a student. That's what we're looking for. Okay? Okay. What do you mean by plus lessons? Okay, because plus lessons are not 120. Okay, right? So plus lessons are something that doesn't count in what we're judging here. Okay, it will be 120 only. Math, alphabet, 120. Okay, that's when you wear your flag. Okay, all right, that's when you wear your flag. Okay, I was saying like G1. I was saying like you're not trying. Okay, all right, okay. That's peace, Chief. I appreciate that clarification. Everybody wants to wear this flag. Everybody, it's a great honor to wear it, though. And it looks fly. You know what I'm saying? Shit is fly. It's the fucking greatest and only universal flag of the universe. You know what I'm saying? Greatest and only flag of the universe. It's beautiful. You know what I'm saying? But you got to do some stuff. You got to do some really important stuff to deserve it. Okay. All right. Indeed, indeed. It's all about applying a lesson, not reality first. Sure enough, serious. Yeah, that's a good thought, son. That's Peace, Gregory. Good to see you. Good to see you. And we only have a few minutes here. Um, Let me know if there's any questions or anything like that. You know what I mean? Hope you understand what I was meaning about that. You know what I mean? When to wear it and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Right? Listen, I got the knowledge. Um, I got the knowledge of self. I'm the true living God. I'm also part of the Low Lights organization dealing with hip hop. So there's a lot of thought that goes into the things I wear. You know what I'm saying? What I represent, how I represent it, what I expect it to represent. You know what I'm saying? So I always think about how my clothes represent what I'm thinking and what I intend to share with the populace. Stuff. You know what I mean? An authenticity that reflects exactly who I am, but also reveals what I'm willing to share. You know what I mean? The I will tell you something that. Let me give you a counter to that. I appreciate that. Saying that you wish the class was every day. This class to me would be a failure if it was every day, because I want you to I want you to be able to go out into the world and study and do things. And the whole point is that you don't need this. Every time I teach so that way you don't need me. You need me less. You know what I mean? And a teacher teach whatever you have, teach people so that way what you truly do know, people need you less and less. Okay? All right. Just give me a moment. All right. Let's see. This is my first time on your live platform. How do I catch up with what you taught past classes? Well, serious, I just started doing this because of the whole pandemic. I started to regularly do this online because I wasn't going to stop teaching. And if you go on this channel, follow my channel, Sunez7. Um, aside from, I really made this as my hip hop channel from a lot of some of my hip hop work. But it is also now being, of course, used for all my class sessions. So even when we get back to a law school in Mecca, I'm going to continue to do this, you know, and engage with the students, but also engage with you all online as best as I can. Um, so if you go on my channel, all the past classes since like April. Also, I mentioned earlier the 5% media under the culture section is the Peace course, and my column on each of the last classes I'm doing regularly now. So I do a little article recapping the class structure and everything, and I throw that online as well. So you can catch up there too. But a lot of stuff is here. Okay? Also, the Allah School in Mecca YouTube channel page as well has a lot of stuff for myself. I don't know yet. Saladin, I can't answer that question yet. Okay? Can't really answer that. Okay, let's see what we have here. All of it's here. I don't know about the universe. You know what though? There's never too much benefit with universal beatdowns. Trust me. Visited. Okay, all right. That's real peace, 793. Real peace. Real peace. Speaking of the Japanese, though, one of the greatest martial arts in the universe ever existed, Morihei Shiba. Wrote one of the books that I consider essential. With peace. Okay. Since we're talking about Japan so much. Well, get in these ciphers, though. You know what I'm saying? Build them up. And if they're not right and exact and stuff, then you take it back to me or Dark Him, and you ask us about it, and you refer people, and we get it right and exact. You know what I'm saying? We'll get it right and exact. If you feel that they're teaching something that's not right and exact, or being some way, that's what we're here for. You know? Straighten them out, straighten people up, build them up. Okay? Don't worry about who beat you up, though. Don't worry about who you're going to beat up. Worry about who you're going to build up. Okay? Who you're going to build up. Okay? All right? So if there's any last questions, let me know. Well, my email to end this, my email is sunez97@gmail. Ask me any questions, anything that you need. The curriculum, the details of this course that include the beginner book list, that include the plus lesson I built on the justice bill, that also include a lot of the good books that I have, because it comes with access to a whole digital library I have, though, so a lot of books and stuff serious. I'll have you with a great amount of books to read, though. Let's get you up, though, so you can start reading digitally. You know what I mean? All right. Morihei Shiba is a martial artist who wrote The Art of Peace. But email me, all right? And when you're offline, though, it's your warriorship that you should be worried about. That starts from inside to the outside world of what you're going to build up. Okay? Great book. Great book. One of the classic novels, right? So with that said, we are at the 3-hour mark, right? Morihei Shiba, it's up there in the chat, right? A lot of good questions, a lot of good builds in the mathematics, though. Let's make it less abstract, more concrete, flesh it out a little bit more. Go up in the chat, look up the homework and stuff. When this is on, I'll have the notes and everything, and the Peace Course column will be updated with ideas too. Great. All right, that's Peace, Gregory. I like that. All right. So with that said, keep building. Enjoy that book, Woo. With that said, contact me, okay? And build, all right? Stay healthy, build strong, and create things, all right? With that, peace to all the human families.